So by understanding my origin, I am able to piece together the person that I am today. And it made taking these assessments actually quite intriguing because it not only exposed the uncertainty of my personality that I have yet to discover, but also parts of my personality I didn't even know that I possessed. For example, the MBTI. I turned out to be an ENFJ. I'm the only one in the class that's an ENFJ. And so when I look at the E, which for extroversion is very outgoing, so when you come from a childhood where your personality is programmed for you, like your life is detailed down to the minute. Your day is not your own. You have it scheduled, and anything outside the schedule feels completely wrong. So when I decided to stray from what I was raised to be, I got a chance to like find my own voice, and therefore that triggers that extroversion in you to where you then become outgoing because now you're void of past practices that serve as barriers to you becoming something other than you then start exploring the unknown of self, which I thought was very, very prophetic. And it was very, very eye opening to me that, oh wow, this is actually a pretty big hurdle that I've come from, and now I'm still stuck in a limbo to where I don't know if I want to be the person I never got to be or work on the person that I think I want to be. And there's a distinct difference because you don't know which one is right. It is a daily process of readjusting your personality to fit what works for you as the person that you stand looking in the mirror at that day. And I find myself honestly constantly making adjustments. The intuition for me was very spot on. So intuition is taking things and seeing the big picture. And I found that in the MBTI, and it actually relates to the Strength Finder because I did rate strategic in the Strength Finder as well, to where you give me the game plan and you tell me what your problem is, and I will give you an imaginative idea and concept and map it out for you. Can't necessarily give you the step-by-step in detail, but I will paint it and package it so pretty for you. And just like the Type Talks at Work text was saying, the persuaders were these persuading you to come over and rationalize how I rationalize, and essentially serving you the answer to where at the end of the day it's like selling salt to a slug and you just eat it up because that's what we make that big picture come alive for you. And I think that was spot on with my personality because I see myself doing that at work a lot. Like we'll have conferences where we'll have deep discussions, and I'm not so much focused on how we go from X, Y, and Z and we get to A, B, and C from there. No, I'll give you the big picture and you break it down for me how you want to do it behind the scenes, or you do it however you feel is right. But I'm going to conceptualize it in such a way that it's like, this is the future, this is where we're headed, and go ahead and do the groundwork. But I've given you the dream, go for it kind of deal. The next was feelings. And I think feelings in the MBTI and the Strength Finders is includer is actually correlated. So feelings for me is a big deal. I don't make a lot of decisions where I don't take into account how somebody else is going to be affected by my decisions. And it brings about that spirit of inclusion because once you experience that feeling of never being included or never having a position where you feel like your voice mattered, you tend to go out of your ways to make other people and their ideas and just as important as everything that you say, because you've been on the receiving end, you know how it feels. And I tell you, every day at work, I do that. on a constant basis. And I even put sometimes the feelings of others above myself because, again, when you've been there, it's not a place where you want somebody else to experience. And if I can make somebody avoid the experiences I've gone through, then that's what I'm going to do. And I take that into account. But there is a drawback. The TED Talks Network talks about, it says, and I quote, we are emotionally extroverted feelers that have a high need to please others. And that is true, but the drawback of that is when we don't please others, it feels like a failure on our part. And I can relate back again to that because of with the experiences with my dad. Again, like when I showed him my grade, he was just so disappointed, and that feeling of failure, we are highly emotional, I think, when you're a feeler and you're very sensitive, and that's actually really in tune with the True Colors assessments as well, which also, says that we are inclusive, we're people person, and we're empathetic and compassionate, and that's all wrapped into one. So I thought that was actually pretty cool that the test kind of correlated between the three, and I was happy to see results, because sometimes when you take tests, you'll test randomly on some tests where it doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, well, this says that I'm strategic, but at another time, this other test says I'm completely just organizational mess. So it's good to see that there's some connectedness between the three. So the other and last thing I really wasn't impressed with on these assessments was the J. Not so much the fact that I rated J and because I'm organized and everything like that, because that I am not right now. But again, it goes back to the fact that, again, you don't have a personality of your own. So I've been subconsciously almost suppressing or trying to suppress past practice and personality traits in order to explore like this whole other person that I'm trying to create for myself or coming into my own. And that act of suppression is where the J for me comes from, because I've lived that life and I don't want it. And for me, it's drowning. Like when we had the activity with the guest speaker and we were told about plans, vacations, and the groups were, planning everything down to the sites we're going to see, the day-by-day activities, a time schedule even, so detailed. I literally, I could feel my chest tighten. And, literally, it was like I was taking short breaths because it was like it was a flashback into that old life. And I was just, oh my God, I can't breathe over here. I literally got up out of my seat and I went to join the other group. And the moment I sat down, I kid you not, the moment I sat down, it was such a relief, because it's like I was being chained down again. And it was like, oh my God, I cannot do it. So, I'm finding myself, struggling with the past me, still to this day, to break free to the person, again, for the person I'm trying to become. And it was very hard doing these tasks because it puts you in a position where you're forced to look at yourself and evaluate yourself, not in a negative way, but more so in a positive way, so that you find out who you are. I remember watching a movie with Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson. It's called Anger Management. And when he went to one of the group sessions, Jack Nicholson asked him, okay, well, who are you? And I remember the scene, so vividly, because he just started listing off, his accolades and all these titles. And all of a sudden, he interrupts him and he's like, well, okay, well, that's nice that you've accomplished that, but who are you? Because that's not who you are. That's just titles. And when I took these tests, I remember like thinking about that scene in the movie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like when all you have to go by are accolades, and you truly don't even know whether you're like a compassionate person, or you're idealistic, or you're just a free spirit. Like if you don't know those things about yourself, then you are left with the question about who are you. And it made me think like, I don't know who I am then. And that's, as scary as the thought it is, it's actually exciting because now I get the opportunity to find me. And that's what I've learned from the test. I get the opportunity to find me. And it's scary. Part of me thinks I'm still unprepared to go down that road. The other part of me is excited. But I'm dedicated to do it because I owe it to myself. I owe it to my past self. And I owe it to the future me. Because if I don't ever take the opportunity, then I would have failed me. And it's just not something that I'm willing to do. When it comes to yourself, there are instances where I've learned that there are instances where you do have to put yourself first in order to be truly happy. And so that's what these tests have truly shown me. And it's a grateful experience. It's sad and it's a very emotional experience, but I wouldn't trade it. It's a big eye opener, and I think it's beneficial. I think in a positive manner. And if I didn't do it for this class, I probably would have never done it at all. And it's just, man, it's just going to better prepare me for the future. And not even in my personal life, but my career life. And it's just, like, it makes me think of that song by Chantel where she's just like, all my skies are open. But, like, those scars, now that they're open, I can heal. And so, for me, that's a personal accomplishment. And so, when you're working on self in your personal life, now I'm able to build goals for myself career-wise. And that's an exciting chapter that I can't wait to start.